This video describes the use of an Optocom IR or Optocom GPS system for driving relay outputs. While a dominant majority of Optocom applications involve establishing priority at a traditional signalized intersection, there is sometimes a need to trigger devices other than traffic controllers. In an effort to make these exception applications as flexible and universal as possible, GTT offers the 770 card rack, which includes an embedded relay. Two frequently requested applications that will be discussed are using the 770 for opening a gate and for triggering a confirmation light in a vehicle depot. At first glance, the 770 card rack looks similar to the 760 card rack that is sometimes used for intersection applications. However, upon closer review, notice that there are different labels and assignments of the leads on the terminal block. This rack has been optimized for relay applications with only 2 detector inputs and terminal block leads for driving normally open and normally closed dry contacts. When using Optocom GPS, the IR detector inputs are not used. Instead, the 11-pin GPS connector on the front of the phase selector will be used. Please refer to the Optocom Gate Opener Applications section of the 762-764 manual or the Optocom GPS Intersection Installation Manual for detailed wiring instructions for the 770 rack. First, we will review the use of this to open a gate. Traditional gate opener applications have involved the driver of an emergency vehicle or transit vehicle needing to stop and use a keypad or card reader to grant authorization to open a gate. Optocom IR and Optocom GPS represent alternatives for EVP or TSP equipped vehicles. It is important to ensure that there is physical space for mounting the 770 rack, including the ability to shelter the phase selector from moisture such as rain or snow. In cases where these accommodations cannot be made in the gate control box, it may be necessary to house the 770 rack and phase selector inside a separate cabinet mounted within a few feet of the gate controller. Optocom IR or Optocom GPS emulates the pushing of a button to open the gate. Depending on the gate controller, there are a few options for wiring the 770 card rack. In most cases, you'll be using the normally open and common terminals to connect the gate. Refer to the Gate Opener Manual for verification. Once the electrical and environmental accommodations have been made, next is to connect and properly align the IR detectors or the GPS radio. In an IR application, the first decision that needs to be made is to determine how the vehicle will get in and out of the gated area. For getting in, detector placement guidelines for traditional signalized intersections remain the same. Optocom IR is a line-of-sight technology, so it is important to select a detector mounting location that can be seen from the traveling vehicle. However, unlike an intersection, there is typically not a span wire or mast arm for detector mounting. Therefore, it may be necessary to pick a mounting location next to a nearby guard shack roof or on an additional short extension pole. For exiting through the gate, many customers connect a traditional inductive loop to the gate controller. However, Optocom can be used as an alternative exiting technique as well, which is why there are 2 IR detector inputs on the 770 rack. In a similar fashion, select the detector mounting location that is within line of sight of the exiting vehicle. If one detector for both in and out is preferred, be sure to use either the 721 or 722 and align the 2 tubes for in and out accordingly. For GPS, make sure that the GPS radio mounting location is protected from vandalism. If the cabinet mount 3101 GPS radio is used, the gate controller application or the separately configured cabinet will need enough room for not only the 770 card rack, but also the 3101. When assigning outputs for your approach zones, you should use channel A or B, as these are the outputs connected to the relay by default. As with signalized intersections, it is a good idea to test the completed inputs and outputs to the gate controller by driving an Opticom-equipped vehicle in and out of the gated area. The second most common relay application is driving a confirmation light at a vehicle depot in order to give drivers visual confirmation that their Opticom vehicle kit is working as they enter or leave. This is typically simpler than the gate application that was described earlier. Again, it is important to ensure that there is physical space for mounting the 770 rack, including the ability to shelter the phase selector from moisture such as rain or snow. This is typically done inside a guard shack or within a room or closet in a building that is very close to traveling vehicles. Opticom IR or Opticom GPS basically emulates a light switch for this application. In most cases, you will be using the normally open and common terminals to turn the confirmation lights on. If the confirmation light is activated by a low priority vehicle, use OnSite to set the low priority active state to solid so the relay doesn't pulse. As described earlier, connect and properly align the IR detectors or the GPS radio. In connecting the relay outputs, it will be necessary to run third-party cable from the 770 rack to the confirmation light. Finally, there is another rack offered by GTT called the 3052. This rack has relays that provide dry contacts for all four of the outputs coming from the rear of the phase selector. The 3052, however, does not have a terminal strip for landing Opticom IR detectors. In addition, the outputs are wired only normally open and are accessible through the unterminated wires of the P1 harness. If you have questions about these or other relay applications, please contact GTT Technical Support.